the scope of where it's available. For you guys, does that change your like understanding of the show? And going and interacting with other countries and other fandoms there, are there any nuances and I don't know, like how people interpret the show in different parts of the world?
I think it's only fitting because it is such a global narrative.
Mm-hmm.
When we were in Europe recently, and we went through Germany, and we met people from France and all over that part of the world. And it's remarkable how universal the story hits. Mm-hmm. I think we do have a globalized world, and a lot of the issues that we deal with in the show, sociopolitically and whatnot, are mirrored all over the place. Things we're dealing with in the States are very similar to things that are dealing with in Europe, which are similar to things we're dealing with in Asia, and it's it is a universal human narrative. So I'm kind of struck by how these books that were written 15, 20 years ago, before kind of this whole cauldron recently has started up, really kind of reflect the current state of affairs and how intimately it shows what the repercussions of those things are across borders. And it really does hit, on a very intimate level and on a personal level. With these stories that were, I guess it says something about us that we're kind of destined to keep doing the same stuff over and over and over again. But it kind of harkens back to the source material and Narain being so adamant about honoring that in the way that it was written.
I think if you have an honest, organic expression of social political struggles that are actually going on right now, and people can see that and follow these narratives and these characters, and they find themselves within it, there's a strong connection and a relationship they have. I talk to Stephen about this all the time. I've never had this type of intimate connection with the fans, with the story that we're doing, because I'm actually a fan of it myself. Stephen and I both knew about the books ahead of time, and we're excited about the world. I remember coming to this Comic-Con maybe 7 years ago, and Ty and Dan had a booth here, and they were talking about the books, and I was like, that's interesting. It was like fascinating, the whole thing. So it's really weird and how all this kind of connected and played out, and being a fan of a certain genre and a book, and then being able to be a part of it, and then being with the fans, like, I know I'm a fan too. It's that kind of connection. It's a really special experience with this show that I've never really experienced before.
I just want to say too that allegory is a very powerful tool, and especially in science fiction, it's a genre that really lends itself to allegory and using allegory in a very powerful way. And it's the thing I think one of the things I'm most proud of on this show is that in a time where things are really divided and it's very difficult to communicate across across partisan lines or social lines or whatever, art can manage to bridge the divide, and you can spark conversations out there that maybe wouldn't be had otherwise if you mask the names and the times and things like that allow it to be a bit more digestible. And I think it's one of the things I'm most proud of about this show. The work feels important.
Well, yeah, I mean, for you, I'm curious about if Holden's fame, because that has grown over the course of years, will that play a role at all as he's expanding out and exploring new places?
I mean, I'm not sure how much I can say about the fourth season, just how that happens, but thus far it has. I mean, it is even with Anna, with the actress's name, but with the reporter last season on the ship, I mean, they managed to get a ship back because they're celebrities, and they used it it was impounded, and they were like, okay, well, let's just use that card, we'll throw it down. I mean, we're kind of selling ourselves out a little bit, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think he becomes this figurehead that people project themselves on, as many figureheads are, I guess. But it does play a role, this year,
Yeah.
and I think and I think more to the reason why he's famous is like the connection to the proto molecule and the kind of expertise that he and the project crew have now play a very significant role this year.
I mean, I'm really curious about your relationship with Naomi because that's one of my favorites on the show, and I was really stressed last season. But yeah, what can you like tease about that in this new?
This season, we're obviously being really close to the vest of kind of what happens, but I will say that there are challenges and struggles that we face that are greater than any internal squabbles that we've had, and it really forces us to bind together as a family. And in a way, whenever something like that happens, when you reconcile and come together, you're actually closer and stronger than you were before.
Yeah.
So hopefully something that you can talk a little bit about just season 4 wise. Did you guys have a different vibe or buzz on the set? Because you went from having such a passionate fan base and not really knowing, and then that moment of getting saved and okay we're moving on. Did that affect you guys when you were working on season 4?
I think intensely. We all came together and we've been working on this thing that we just described of how much we love it, how connected we were. I've never rooted so hard for something that I've been a part of before in my life. And so the fact that we got this second chance and that we went through what we went through together as a cast, also together with the fans, and the fact that we got to pick it up, there was a certain enthusiasm and energy on set. And beyond our cast, our crew and our directors and we've all been together for 6 years working on this thing. And the kind of energy that we're feeling towards the show right now is unlike anything we felt in 4 years. Being here at Comic-Con and seeing the enthusiasm of the fans and the connection and the excitement, it's in a lot of ways, and Steve and I talk about this, it feels like we spent 4 years for our first season, to create our first season, because this feels in a lot of ways are really our first season.
Yeah, I think there was, we've always had a really passionate group of people working on the show, from the crew to the writers to the actors, and even when we were in limbo there for a while, our entire crew waited. Didn't have a job, they waited. People with mortgages and children and responsibilities. I think it really speaks to what we have on this show and the environment that we have and how unique it is. And I think when we had that kind of collective relief of being picked up again, there was just this renewed sense of gratitude that we were allowed to complete this story. That was the real gut punch, was that, we all are so passionate about this narrative, and we weren't going to be able to finish it, and now we are with the people that we love, and it's the best thing in the whole world. We went with a renewed vigor, and we doubled down our efforts to really warrant the kind of miracle that was given to us.
What are you most proud of that you've done in the show?
Why don't you go on to the next one?
Thank you guys.
Sorry.